Those were some awesome moments from Nepal. Kukur Tihar, the second day of the 5-day Tihar festival, which is dedicated to honoring dogs as agents of Yama, the Hindu god of death and justice. From service dogs to pets to strays, the four-legged animals are adorned with garlands and flowers, celebrating human-dog companionship. Hello and welcome to Inside South Asia. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. Let's begin. On 18th of October, in a significant breakthrough, Pakistan and Afghanistan agreed to a comprehensive ceasefire during a round of negotiations mediated by Qatar and Turkey. The peace talks held in the Qatari capital of Doha sought a way forward after more than a week of fierce clashes that killed dozens and wounded hundreds in the worst violence between the neighboring countries since the Taliban stormed back to power in Kabul in August 2021. Our next report explores the tense past and an uncertain future in the Pakistan-Afghan relations.
Islamabad, facing a rise in attacks on its security forces, has repeatedly accused the Taliban government of providing a haven to anti-Pakistan armed groups, particularly the Pakistan Taliban, which is better known by its acronym TTP. On the 9th of October, as the Taliban's foreign minister, Amir Khan Muttaqi, began an unprecedented 6-day trip to India. Explosions were heard in Kabul and in the eastern Afghanistan province of Paktika. The next day, the Afghan Ministry of Defense, without providing details, blamed Pakistan for the explosions. A couple of days later, the Taliban government said that its forces, in a retaliatory move, killed 58 Pakistani soldiers in border clashes that erupted between the neighboring countries overnight. Following almost a week of violence between the two neighbors, a temporary ceasefire of 48 hours was agreed on the 15th of October, albeit with each side stressing that the other had requested the ceasefire. As the end of the temporary ceasefire approached, a suicide car bomber, ostensibly backed by the Pakistan Taliban, rammed an explosive-laden vehicle into the wall of a Pakistani military camp in North Waziristan, killing at least 7 Pakistani soldiers. Early on Saturday, Pakistan and Afghanistan engaged in artillery firing in the border provinces of Khost, Nangarhar, Paktika and Kunar, fueling fears that the conflict could spiral out of control. On the same day, under a cloud of suspicion and animosity, peace talks were held in Doha. The talks were led by Pakistan's Defense Minister Khawaja Muhammad Asif and his Afghan counterpart Mullah Muhammad Yaqub. The next day, Asif posted on X that the ceasefire between the South Asian neighbors had been finalized, adding that both sides would meet again on October 25th in Istanbul to discuss detailed matters. Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid too issued a statement saying that the parties agreed on a complete and meaningful ceasefire. Welcoming the ceasefire deal, border residents expressed their happiness and hoped for trade to resume soon.
People were previously worried and wanted the Taliban and the government of Pakistan to reach an agreement because the fighting here greatly affects people's businesses. The locals have neither agricultural land nor other sources of income. Everyone's livelihood depends on border trade, whether on this side or the other.
Noteworthy is the fact that the ground fighting between the one-time allies and Pakistani airstrikes across their contested 2,600 kilometers frontier were triggered after Islamabad demanded that Kabul rein in militants who had stepped up attacks in Pakistan, claiming that they operated from havens in Afghanistan. The Taliban, on its part, denies providing a haven to militants to attack Pakistan and instead points an accusatory finger at the Pakistani military for spreading misinformation about Afghanistan and sheltering Islamic State-linked militants to undermine its stability and sovereignty. A day after the ceasefire agreement between Islamabad and Kabul, Pakistan's defense minister reiterated the Pakistan-Afghan peace hinges on the Taliban's reining in of militants attacking Pakistan from Afghanistan.
This was very clearly, spelled out that there won't be any incursions and TTP will not have any facility on their soil. We kept on repeating, and obviously they deny it, but in an implied way, both the countries, Turkey and Doha, Qatar, they pressed upon them that this is the main bone of contention, that your territory or your patronage or your support is there for TTP to operate in Pakistan. So we told them that this is something which everything hinges on this one clause.
With India's technical mission in Kabul now upgraded to the status of Embassy of India, it seems alarm bells are echoing in the power corridors of Pakistan, threatening to turn its creation, the Taliban, once a strategic asset, into an adversary.
Bipin Joshi, a Nepalese agriculture student, was 22 years old when he arrived in Israel. Just 3 weeks before Hamas attack on 7th of October 2023, during which Hamas took 251 hostages to Gaza. Bipin, who was photographed sheltering with Thai workers shortly before Hamas members reached the area, was abducted from kibbutz Alumim in southern Israel, where 10 Nepali nationals were killed. Reportedly, Bipin, in a valiant effort, saved his friend by throwing a grenade back at the assailants storming the community. It was on 13th of October the bodies of 4 hostages were returned by Hamas following the release of all 20 surviving captives. Bipin unfortunately could not survive his ordeal and was among the 4 dead hostages released by Hamas.
It was a homecoming that came after a 2-year agonizing wait, but in vain. On the 20th of October, the coffin of Nepalese hostage Bipin Joshi, released under the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, reached the airport in Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. Honoring the slain hostage returned from Gaza, Nepal's interim Prime Minister Sushila Karki draped a national flag over the coffin and paid tribute to Bipin Joshi's bravery in the face of adversity.
Bipin is a son of all Nepali mothers. The name Bipin will be immortal. No one can forget him for his bravery and the hardships he had to face. We may not see his body, but his soul remains in this country. Bipin lives in our hearts. He is immortal, and his name will remain forever in this land.
The next day, a cremation ceremony was held for the slain Nepalese braveheart in his hometown of Bhimdatta Nagar, attended by hundreds of people who came to pay their last respects. Before the slain Nepalese hostage Bipin Joshi's body was repatriated, a farewell ceremony was held at Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport as well.
We gathered here today in order to honor and pay tribute to Bipin Joshi, a young, enthusiastic and very ambitious student who came to Israel in September 23 in order to pursue a better future for him, for his family, working on various ways to improve his own life.
I'm so sorry. It should end this way. Bipin, great young man with dreams and future, talented person, came to Israel and we're sending him back with sorrow and grief and agony after this massacre of October 7th, 2 years in captivity, and we are so sorry for that result.
At a difficult time like this, a prayer for the family of the deceased is in order. Hailing from a remote part of western Nepal, the family of Bipin Joshi was so far removed from the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that reportedly when Joshi's sister learned of his abduction, she wasn't even aware what Hamas was. After nearly 2 years with no news of Bipin's fate, his sister and mother obtained passports and left their country for the first time in August to push for his return.
Almost 2 years without a sign of life. Is he starving, injured, alive? How can anyone survive 680 days in hell? My mom and dad are devastated, barely holding on. They miss their son only. They miss their only son. I miss my brother, my soul.
Throughout the 2-year ordeal, the family's only sign of life from Bipin Joshi was a short video clip, believed to have been filmed in November 2023 and later recovered by the Israeli military. That month, the Israeli military released what it said were images from a Gaza hospital showing a Nepalese civilian whom it did not name being transported through the medical facility on the day of the attack. In Alumim, the kibbutz community near the Gaza border where Bipin had stayed and was abducted from, 22 foreign farm workers were killed during the attack, with 10 from Nepal and 12 from Thailand. According to the Israeli military, Bipin's life was cut short in captivity during the first months of war. An innocent life, full of promise and hoping to build a better future, was stolen too soon. Here's hoping the return of the deceased brings an end not only to the agonizing wait, but to the days and nights filled with uncertainty and unspoken horror.
India's capital, New Delhi, woke up to a thick layer of toxic smog the morning after Diwali. Despite repeated warnings and restrictions, residents celebrated with fireworks that sent pollution levels soaring, making New Delhi the most polluted city in the world this week.
According to Swiss monitoring firm IQ Air, the city's PM 2.5 levels, fine microscopic pollutants that can enter the bloodstream, were recorded at 23 times higher than the World Health Organization's recommended limit. New Delhi's air quality index soared to 442, placing it firmly in the hazardous category and making it one of the most polluted cities in the world. Locals say it's an annual torment that brings discomfort, irritation and breathing troubles.
So it's like a kind of a cruelty on humankind that they are not trying to manage the pollution. The pollution should be like something which could be, managed. It's like a kind of for the next generations and for our living being. The more polluted air we'll consume, it'll like more harmful to our health.
Some residents blame poor management and weak law enforcement as the main reasons behind the worsening pollution. The Supreme Court of India recently relaxed its ban on firecrackers in the capital, allowing the use of so-called green crackers for a limited 3-hour window on October 19th and 20th. But despite the partial restrictions, people were seen bursting firecrackers across the city beyond the permitted hours.
Pollution occurs every year during Diwali. Now, the government claims to address pollution, but every year it's the same. Whether it's due to firecrackers or other crop burning, the smog and pollution happens every year.
New Delhi is unlikely to get relief any soon. The Ministry of Earth Science predicted that the air will remain in the very poor to poor category with AQI levels between 201 and 400 in the coming days. Meanwhile, other Indian cities, including Mumbai and Bhopal, also witnessed a spike in pollution levels, where buildings and skylines were seen shrouded in a thick haze. For many, the pollution has become more than just a health hazard. It's now a reason to leave the city altogether. A growing number of families in Delhi are relocating to cleaner cities like Bengaluru and Goa, hoping for a healthier life for themselves and their children. For them, the thick smog and rising health concerns are no longer seasonal inconveniences, but a long-term threat to their well-being.
So one stark incident was around Diwali in 2020, and Mir was still less than 2 years old. And I remember we had like 3 purifiers running continuously, of course. And then I needed more because it was just impossible to leave the bedroom and be in like even the living room. I felt terrible. I was like, I can't have my child breathing through this air. And also, of course, it was affecting me.
In my own individual capacity and in our capacity as 2 people who want to have a child, we do not want to have a child and raise a child in Delhi. And if we were to stay in Delhi, and if you were to continue to stay in Delhi, then we would possibly not have children at all. And I thought that the evidence and the research was compelling enough for me to make that decision.
Every year, after the celebration of the Festival of Lights, India finds itself in the dark shadows of a pollution crisis that casts hazardous health effects on its citizens.
And up next, we take a look at what else is making news from across South Asia.
Torrential rains lashed several parts of Tamil Nadu as the northeast monsoon or retreating monsoon sets in. The northeast monsoon usually begins from October to November when the southwest monsoon winds withdraw from India, leading to clearer skies, lower humidity and cooler temperatures in many areas. It brings heavy rainfall to the southeastern coast, especially Tamil Nadu, through tropical cyclones in the Bay of Bengal. This year, the northeast monsoon has kicked in early and at least 4 days sooner for the second year running over Tamil Nadu. Hours of relentless rain have paralyzed the state capital, turning several neighborhoods into waterlogged zones and slowing vehicular movement across the city.
Sri Lankan opposition politician Lisantha Wickremasekara was shot dead by an unidentified gunman on the 22nd of October. He was in his office meeting in Veligama with his constituents when a gunman wearing a face mask and carrying a helmet shot him at close range and fled on a motorcycle with another person. The details were captured in the CCTV footage released by the police. Wickremasekara was a member of the opposition Samagi Jana Balavagaya or the SJB party, which has been locked in a bitter power struggle with the ruling party over control of Veligama Council. This marks the first assassination of a politician since President Anurakumara Dissanayike's government came to power last year, pledging to restore law and order.
Bangladesh fear losses of more than $1 billion after a devastating fire broke out at the import section of Dhaka's Hazrat Shah Jalal International Airport. According to experts, this could be a severe blow to Bangladesh's export supply chain ahead of the crucial Christmas season. Clothes and raw materials were among the goods destroyed, which could put some businesses at risk. The cause of the fire, which took 27 hours to extinguish, is still being investigated. The blaze had forced the temporary suspension of flights and airport operations. Bangladesh is the world's second largest exporter of clothes after China.